Hi, everybody. I am Anjanette, and I am here with my good friend Mary Sennett, and she is a yoga teacher, and she's also a transitional life coach. So, she's been on the guest before. So, welcome to Building Community, and we are with Mary Sennett. Okay, so we were talking right before the show, and she's actually working on something right now. And I think it's really important that we have these discussions about making ourselves a priority because I don't care who you are, you can get away from yourself in a hot minute. Your life gets busy, and all of a sudden you're spiraling out of control. So, what do you think about that, man?
Well, first, let me say thanks for having me back. I'm totally excited to be here. But yeah, you really need to make yourself a priority. You need to give yourself that permission, and I think it's hard for women who I say were raised in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s because we've had this like wife training where we're supposed to put everything else in front of us, including the plants and the dog, before we take care of ourselves. So it's really, really hard to get beyond that feeling of guilt in order to make ourselves a
Mm.
priority. And you're right, things spiral. I mean, I remember myself, I had great plants. They looked lovely. But I had high blood pressure. I was gaining weight. I wasn't focused. I was a civil rights attorney, and I really, really, really needed to like be on. And my brain was foggy, and I wasn't sleeping really well. And my dear sweet husband basically said to me, "You got to start taking care of yourself, or." You're not going to do well now, and our retirement's going to be doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment. So it took me to get to that level to wake up and decide I needed to make myself a priority, and I'm trying to save people from that.
I can really relate because I was that person too that had, my life was all consuming and I was taking care of everybody else, but I wasn't doing such a great job of taking care of myself, you know. So I still remember that day looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh my God, where did you go, girl?" So I think that society has a very specific idea about a woman's role, even though women have gotten so much further than 20 years ago in the 60s or even the 50s. There's still that mentality that they belong in the kitchen, barefoot, pregnant, and that if something needs to be done, they should just handle it, you know? So, and then, women who have children, before the retirement age, women who have children, I think that's when it really starts, when they start taking care of their kids because now it's an extension of their life and they do for the kid before and then the husband before. And little by little, all of those things that they used to enjoy slowly but surely slips away. And
Right.
I think and I think it's a little hard to rewind that clock and say, hey, what did I used to do before I was a mommy, before I was a wife? And it's just really a matter of taking back that time. So saying no unapologetically,
Mhm.
you know, and it's not easy. Would you agree? It takes conditioning to say no.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, you hit a number of things on the head, like the forgetting what you used to do. So I spent a lot of time in this new program I've got. It's a membership program so that we pick a topic each month to focus on and do a deep dive to start taking care of yourself. So one of the first ones is, basically getting over the guilt of taking care of yourself. And then we start thinking about ways that you can take care of yourself. And I give out exercises that are like, what did you do before you had kids? What did you enjoy as a child? And also with the idea of retirement in mind too, because retirement is a time that you can totally reinvent yourself. And I work with women from 5 years away from retirement or shorter to take care of themselves now as well as get ready for that. So there's that piece. Then there's, practicing to say no. One of the favorite exercise that my clients do, whether it's in my coaching, one-on-one coaching, or in this membership program, is learning how to say no, practicing saying no. And it's fabulous. One of my clients was at first very hesitant to say no. And then when she realized she didn't really hurt other people's feelings, she was like, okay. But then she said, I got so good at saying no, I started saying no to things that I wanted just for the practice.
Bless her heart. So I had a client that had a really hard time saying no. And I said, can you start with maybe? I said, because when she said, oh, I like that. I can do maybe. I said, a lot of times when people come to you and ask you to do things, it's because they don't want to do it themselves.
Hmm.
And if you tell them, hey, maybe I can help you, but I'm not really sure. So I'll get back to you. Even I'll get back to you. They're
Hmm.
very quickly going to go and because they don't want to do it themselves and they want it expedited quickly, they're going to move on to someone else and ask them,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Exactly. One of my other clients would just say, I need to get back to you on that because she couldn't say no. And
Mm.
then after a while, she was just like, I'm just saying no. Another client in the transition just wouldn't answer her phone because most of the requests were over the phone. And so she just didn't answer her phone. She let it go to voicemail and then she composed herself and was like, okay, no, I can't get to that today.
But you really have to maintain your own peace and your own serenity because a lot of when I was on that health journey, when I looked at it and when I started saying no, all of a sudden I had a lot more time to really do the things I wanted to do. So I think that we can, mess with our own minds sometimes. And, when we think about, oh, I wish I had time to grab, dinner with the girls or,
Yeah.
when you're busy and you think about those little things and you tell yourself, oh, well, how could I do these things I enjoy anyway? I'm always so busy. But we're so used to that busyness that even when we start getting that time, it becomes a little uncomfortable, I think, for us that we don't know what to do with ourselves. And we start filling that time with the very things that we should be getting away from, right? So,
Yeah, and that's another thing that I do when I'm working with my clients, whether it's in the one-on-one program or the membership program. It's like we start thinking about, what do you want to do for your self-care routine? We come up with a self-care routine that I like to describe as so nourishing, it's like a daily hug. And we start focusing on what we want to do to take care of ourselves. What do you want to do to expand your horizons, whether it's taking a class, whether it's you know, uh, doing volunteer work, what's going to make you feel good inside? How are you going to take care of you and feel good that way? And it's fascinating to see what people come up with.
yeah, people have so many interests and they just never explore them. And some of that is fear too. But I
Mhm.
think that the more you take care of yourself, the more you're comfortable in your skin and the more independent you become. And you're less afraid to try those risks, right?
Yeah.
So I give my clients assignments every week. They have to do things, and I go through this battery of questions that they have to answer for themselves. And because they are bringing me into the next phase of their program, right? Based on how they answer them, right? Maybe we need more work over here. We're not ready for this yet, right? So,
Right, right.
and I give them little assignments, and one of my clients, her idea of taking care of herself was, um, cooking dinner or doing the thing. I said, no, 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 no. I say taking care of you. So the chores are off the list. You have to spend that time literally doing something for you. Maybe go listen to meditation, maybe go for a walk or
Mhm.
write in your journal or do something for you. I said, but if you had that time and time wasn't a factor, what would be something that you would do for yourself? And I want you to try to do those things now, you know? So sometimes some people need more direction than others. Other people are have been waiting for that time to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
oh wow, I can really do this and now I have permission. Sometimes people need that permission. Like it's okay.
Yeah, and another thing that I do to get the ball rolling basically is I have people work on their bucket list. What is on your bucket list? What's on your bucket list for where you want to go? What's on your bucket list for things you'd like to try? And it's kind of a nice way to start thinking about, oh, what else is there? And then when we get the bucket list together, we start organizing it like, okay, what do you want to do in the next year? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? What do you want to do in the next 10 years? Because, I do a lot of yoga and I plan to be flexible when I'm 90, but I may not want to live in Europe when I'm 90. I might want to do that sooner.
Maybe that's a good
You know?
idea.
Yeah, and it ends up being a nice, easy gateway to start thinking more about yourself, and it becomes kind of an organizing principle for a lot of my clients. So I thought that was interesting that that's kind of what helped them get to the, okay, now how do I take care of myself so I can go do these things?
Yeah, because anything you want to do. So a lot of times people can't project that 5 or 10 year,
Yeah.
margin. They just don't see themselves in that place. And you have to if you expect to make it to that place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So well, I don't know if I'll be around then. Well, what if you are? What
Mhm.
what position? And especially we're in health in our fields. A lot of people have that concept that it's not going to happen to me. And they
Yeah.
don't take care of themselves until they have a crisis. And then that's when they double down and say, okay, I'm going to eat right. I'm going to start walking. I'm going to join Mary's program, right? We need to really implore just how important that self-care is on a day-to-day basis. Because you and I know that we're going to show up better for
Yep.
every other part of our life, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, you're certainly not taking care of the people in your life, right?
Right.
If you don't love yourself first, right? You can't
Right.
give what you don't possess, right?
Right.
So, and I think that sometimes people don't really understand that until they wind up in those broken relationships and they keep having those recurring situations in their life and then they see that they're at the center of that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And sometimes it's hard to bypass getting to that because people are going to have that difficulty. Another thing I like to do with my clients is say you don't have to go spend an hour taking care of yourself. Start with 15 minutes because studies have shown that if you get like 15 minutes a day of some movement, you're not going to have six-pack abs, but you're going to be better health wise. And
Hmm.
so that seems to be something that is more doable for a lot of my clients. And then you start feeling better and you're like, wow, I want to do more. But yeah, that's
That's me. I do hit exercise every morning, 15 minutes and that's it.
yeah,
Sometimes 7 minutes. I do something every day and that's it. I'm not that person to sit at a gym for an hour. I don't believe in it. I don't think your body requires it. And
yeah.
I'm pretty fit. So um, I like my six pack abs. Like my six pack abs. But I think that taking that time to sit down. I like what you're doing in your program that you are giving these thought-provoking prompts so that they can reflect, on where they've been and where they want to be. Because you're really drawing that linear path for them where they can really look to the future and say, okay, well, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. What do I need to do for myself in between to see this into fruition, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have that visual of steps in place, right? Um, I'm pretty much, okay with my bucket list. I like where I'm going. Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to see more places. So I'll probably spend my retirement just traveling.
That's when I fully retire, that's all I'm going to be doing.
That's all I want to do. I love going to these little mini breaks. I think I'll definitely go back to Europe, see some family and stuff like that. But I love to um just be by the water, so I'll be seeing more things
Yeah.
around the water, but I like places that interest me, like beautiful sunrises and nostalgic looking places, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, like the old cottages along the beach in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I like those too. I like those too. I think this world is so beautiful and that we're so lucky to be a part of it. And I think it's a shame if we only see a very small portion of it. I love going to see how other cultures live and what their lives are like um and what they do in their health and their outcomes. I was on a call with someone yesterday for something totally different. And he was telling me that in his country that they're very unhealthy. I said, you're drawing a picture of America, you
Yeah.
know. You draw. because he was saying, he
Which
was
country is he
trying,
talking about?
yeah. So, well, he was in Pakistan, that they don't really eat right, and that heart disease is big there and everything. And we just got totally off track of what the meeting was actually about. And then we started talking health, and all bets were off because I'm blah, blah, blah. So, but he was saying that you know, different parts of the world live very differently, and that they're very small in comparison to America. And I want to visit those type countries, and maybe help out in a real way, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, that's what's nice too, because there's a bunch of different trips that you can do as a senior citizen that include volunteer work. So you can do things like go to Thailand and work at an elephant rescue, or you can work with a community somewhere else, building buildings, or um, picking lemons in the Amalfi Coast for limoncello during the day and hanging out and relaxing at night. I mean, there's just tons of opportunities for seniors to do volunteer work as well as travel, which is something that we don't even think of.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of that. I'm not okay with the lemons, but I'll go hang out with some elephants. I'm not big on lemons unless it's in my water. I have to incorporate it in my cooking because I know that they're important, but I'm not big on them. I'm not a bitter person, you know.
Yeah,
I, I,
yeah.
I yeah, I'm drawn more to sour and sweet, I think.
Well,
So how,
there's a wonderful chocolate farm in Cameroon that always needs volunteers. And
oh, you got to send me the information. I would love that.
okay,
I would absolutely love that. My husband is actually retired, and he's very interested in doing volunteer work and giving
yeah.
back. So I do that every weekend. So for me, it's not a big deal. But he's looking at doing that now.
Okay.
So how are you getting on in this membership? How is it working out?
Well, I just started it as of January 5th, and I've already got 4 women who are in the membership. I want to keep it to 20 because part of the membership is we pick the topic. I give you a nice video and some workbooks so that you can start doing the deep dive. We have a private Facebook group so that all the women can share ideas with each other, cheer each other on, but also you get access to me. It's kind of like having the professional in your pocket. During that time, you can be like, hey, Marie, what about this? Hey, Marie, what about this? We have a group coaching session once a month so that we can do a deeper dive and talk about, what's working, what's not working, where are folks stuck. So it's just in its infancy, and I already have 5 people in it, so I'm very excited about that.
It sounds like it's really going well, and I definitely can see the value and the need in it. There's not enough of these groups out there really, really helping, you know.
Yeah,
So where do you want to expand from here? Maybe do a show on one of my channels.
there you go.
Yeah, go big or go home, I always say, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice accessible way for people to to take care of themselves. There's also some retirement planning in it too because I'm doing both things. So there's a goal to like look at what do you want to do in retirement? How do you want to reinvent yourself? What are you going to do with your schedule in retirement? Because people don't seem to think they need a schedule. It's like, well, you kind of need to go to bed and get up at the same time so that your body's regulated and you want to fit in the things you want to do because the one thing people know when you're retired is you can go run errands for them because you've got all the time in the world.
Oh yeah, and that's when you read that no really becomes important, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and one of the women in the membership was like, I love the idea that I'm a priority in retirement because as you were talking about before, when you're a mom, you put yourself and behind everybody else. And she's like, I hadn't even thought about retirement being about me and only about me. And I was like, well, you do have a husband, but yeah, it is. It's all about you. It's your time to shine. You've given all that time before. And so she just got all excited. She's just very happy.
Well, I think too that when you're raising children, there's that feeling and that need to provide everything for them. So we do tend to cut our expenses on ourselves and
Mhm.
our time on ourselves. And I think we do that out of love initially, and because women are the biggest caretakers there are. But trying to reverse that and say, wow, when you have that empty nest, it's very different because now
Yeah.
you do have that time. So a lot of women do is replace that with more chores and other things to stay busy instead of saying, okay, now this is the prime of my life. Let me step back and start taking care of myself, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it was interesting because Donna, who is the woman I'm talking about, had originally when she was talking about retirement, had a long conversation with her son, and I don't know what the details of the conversation with her son was, but after we started working together, she had another conversation with her son, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna have a schedule. I'm gonna be doing things. I'm gonna be doing this, 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 and this. So you need to, if you want to spend time with me, you need to schedule it in." And she says, he looked so relieved. Not not because he didn't want to hang out with mom, but because mom had stuff to do, and it was really kind of cool.
I think it is great. And I think that a lot of people start to feel very empty and very lonely in retirement,
Hmm.
especially as I think that there's a little bit of, what to do with all that time. There's a little bit of isolation. They wonder what other people are doing. And as we age, don't forget if we weren't taking care of ourselves, the body starts breaking down,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
this time now, when you are active and you can still use those muscles, that's the time to really do it. Because if
right.
we're not doing it now, we're not making it to a healthy, happy retirement,
No,
right?
we're not.
No, we're not. And a lot of people don't understand that. But I've worked with a lot of elderly people in my career, and a lot of them, when they self-actualize and they look back on their life, there were so many, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that, and I think it's important that someone's out there telling them that there's a choice that they can. And
Yeah,
now's the time to start thinking about it.
right.
So,
Get ready for it.
so
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful,
Oh,
right? Really, it
thanks.
really is wonderful what you're doing. And I'm excited that you have joined me again. Is there anything that you'd like to talk to the audience about that you feel is relevant to this conversation?
I think I think what the audience needs to know is that, you are absolutely worth taking care of. There's nobody else who's going to be able to do it for you. And you are amazing. And you have the opportunity to be the best that you can be. And it's within your heart, your soul. And just embrace that and live it and enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. So we're going to close out this show tonight. I want to thank you again so much for coming in and spending this time with me. You are welcome on any of my shows. You always have such a positive message, and I love what you're out there doing in the world.
Oh, thank you. It's always great to be on your shows.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing night. Take care.